Welcome everybody to 6 o'clock. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. Today's date is March 21st, 2023. If everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And welcome everybody. Danny, I see you're online. Are you here for anything or just reviewing tonight?
Just watching.
Thank you, sir. And for the record, that's Danny Pearson. Everybody should have a copy of our March 7th, 2023 meeting minutes in front of you. Take a moment and review those if you haven't already done so.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Cherubali. Further discussion? Changes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ms. Kissan.
Pretty short list. We are catching up on a Peoria County Sheriff's bill, so there are 2 of those on this one. We didn't get one in January. So was it December? I don't remember.
It was January.
It was January. Either way, it's being caught up for there. Other than that, pretty normal.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report, pay all the outstanding bills.
Motion by Cherubali, second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Weaver,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Cherubali,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
News on the Illinois fund.
I did hear back from the Illinois funds. They needed a list of authorized signers because apparently, I guess the application, either I didn't fill it out correctly or it wasn't clear enough. They needed a list of authorized signers, so I did put one on letterhead, emailed it to them. They said that that was supposed to be the last thing we needed, and I haven't heard back from them. That was Thursday, I believe. So once I hear back from them, we should be good to go.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
I also asked Cassandra to schedule a meeting with our bank, community bank, if we're going to move. We're going to take that amount of money out and move it, especially with all that's going on with the banks. I thought it'd be a good thing to have a conversation with them before we went down that road. So we're going to try to get with them.
Yeah, we don't want the banks thinking that we're giving up on them. Anything else, Ms. Cassandra?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you very much. Tournament report. Abby, welcome.
Let me do one thing real quick for Brandon. He sent me a note. He's not going to be at the meeting, but he sent me a note with, I think, 3 or 4 attachments of kind of finance information that Cassandra and I are going to need to track down for the project. So they're working on stuff from their end. We're going to be working on this, getting back to them. So it's progressing. There's just all the upfront work we got to do to get the data together to submit the application. Sorry.
Thank you, Brian. Now the attorney report. Ms. Abby, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have anything to report.
All that way for that.
Yeah.
That's
I
neat.
thought it was the night to come here.
You got a t-shirt.
I did get a t-shirt. Bill's been bragging about how he has one and I don't.
We can give you 2 and you can really brag on it.
We have 2 different kinds.
Actually, we have 4.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tank the colors.
The tank colors front and back, so. Administrator report, Mr. Bryan.
Okay, I just have the financials that I want to go through. They're in your deck. So if you look at the month of February core funds, it doesn't look too good. We had 92,000 of income, roughly 120 in expense, so we were negative 28,617. But we do have a one-time Recovery Act issue in there. If you remember back, the $81,000 that came in for the Recovery Act came in, 8 months ago? We booked the income then. We moved the cash to $40,500 to savings water and $40,500 to savings sewer. This month we had the expense for the lift station, so we spent $39,000 on the lift station this month. So that's the big thing that's driving that number. We also had our first water invoice with the new rates from Illinois American, and that was like an $8,000 hit. So between those two things, we had 39 and 8, so $46,000 worth of one-time kind of negative stuff, and we were only 28,000 to the bad. So not as bad as it looks, I guess. Then if you look at the February core funds, you can see that the water, we were 5,485 negative, but again, the water purchases was 8,000 higher than what we expected. And then sewer, we had the one-time ARPA expense for 39,000, plus electricity was $2,000 higher. So we had $41,000 of expenses, and we were only 35,000 negative. MFT for the month, not a whole lot to report there. Normal income, not much expense. TIF, you see we had 17,041. That's the residential rebate that we sent back. So 80% of the incremental residential tax goes back to the other taxing bodies, and that check was done in the month of February. BDD, normal month. I guess our income was down a little bit. We had been running around 13, expenses of 1,000. It's still positive. So the monthly summary, and this is what I tell her to put in just to use the monthly summary in the minutes. So we were negative 28,000, but it was the water purchases and lift station with ARPA funds. MFT was positive, TIF was negative, and BDD was positive. Then if you look at year-to-date, and remember this year-to-date includes all of those transfers that we did at the beginning of the year and the one-time only expenses for like the equipment that we bought and so forth. But it is a fairly true number. So we've got 1.3 million in income, 1.04 in expenses. Both of those are elevated a little bit by the transfers that we did. But that 286,431 should be a pretty true number. And then I took out, so if we had $81,000 worth of ARPA expenses, if I take the costs, so we had of income, 81,000 of ARPA income, and if I take out the expenses that we've spent, we've still got about a $35,000 gap there that's making these numbers a little more positive than that they would be otherwise. So our net variance is probably closer to 241 or 251 rather than 286. Does that make sense? Then if you look at the next slide, that shows the year-to-date core funds with all the transfers and everything in it. And then you look at the next slide is where I adjust it. So I take out the one-time only stuff and the transfers, and this just to give us a look at how we're actually performing against the budget. So on the income side, we're about 136 to the good. On the expense side, we're about 125 lower than our budget. And then that net number, the variance number is 284. The non-adjusted was 286. So they're coming closer together because everything's getting aligned as we get closer to the full year. So that's good. We're 284 to the good for through 10 months. And then the next slide shows the adjusted by each area. So general, really strong, unemployment positive, water positive, sewer positive, everything's positive. So operationally, we're covering our costs. We're not, general's covering the capital expenses for the capital money. Slide 12 is the MFT. So our income is finally caught up with our expenses. So we're actually about $1,000 positive for 10 months. Year-to-date TIF, 26,000 in income, 23 in expenses, almost 24 in expenses. So we're about $2,500 positive, and I think that should carry for the balance of the year. So this will be the first year that TIF is actually positive.
In the black.
Yep, so we won't have to borrow money from BDD to cover it. Year-to-date BDD, so we haven't really spent much money out of this. So we've got year-to-date, we're 140, almost 143, 144 positive. So that money's sitting there for us to do projects on or us to use for the programs that we've got coming up. So year-to-date summary, if you exclude the $35,000 for ARPA, we're about $251,000 to the good. We're operationally positive in all areas. And then if you take out the $14,000 a month through 10 months, so $140,000 of capital that we moved to savings, and we're actually $111,000 roughly positive. MFT, we're positive 1K. TIF, we're positive. BDD, positive. So everything's positive. And if you look at our cash, our checking went down by $43,817. Two things impacted that: the water rate, $8K, the sewer ARPA money, $39,000. So we've got that in savings. So in the next month, that'll be transferred in to cover the cash that came out of the operating account. So that $39,000 will be covered. And then we had $17,000 come out of TIF. Our year-to-date variances were still $217,470 to the good. Savings, we're at $1,132,511, and our year-to-date variance has that $35,000 of ARPA money in it. Anyway, we're cash flow positive for the year. The one thing I do want to, on this detailed sheet here, I want to point something out. So in that upper right-hand corner that I've got highlighted green, so that's really the magic number, right? Because if you look, that's our operating checking account. So everything underneath that that's shaded, general, unemployment, water, sewer, garbage, lagoon, and veterans, if you add all those up, it adds up to that top line, which is what we have in the operating account. So any income that comes in goes through that operating account. Any expense that comes in goes through that operating account. So at the end of the day, what we want to do is that after we balance out the income and expenses, we want that cash number to go up, right? So for the monthly variance, again, we were down 42. Remember, we got 39,000 that we're going to move from savings to checking to help cover that 42,000. So if we're 71,904 to the good right now, cash flow positive through 10 months, you add the 39 that we're going to pull from savings up, that puts us at $111,000, which is about what we saw on the income statement, right? So we'd be about $111,000 of surplus cash to the good through 10 months. So if you take all of our income and all of our expenses and you move out the $140,000 that we set aside for capital, we're still $100,000 surplus in cash with 2 months to go. So if we're cash flow positive for the last 2 months, that 111 will go up. If we're negative, it'll go down. If it's about the same, it'll be even. So in total, we have about $250,000 from this year's operating budget that we've done things with. Some went to savings and some sitting in that operating account. But that's the key number, the year-to-date variance. When you move everything in and out, are our cash higher or lower than what it was in the previous month? Questions for me on the financials?
Any questions? Aaron? Thank you, Brian.
Yes.
Committee reports.
Almost the end of the fiscal year. So we got a 23-24 budget vote next meeting, 4-4. That's it.
And then we'll work with you guys, I think, usually on the appropriations ordinance after that. I think we do it we can do it after the new fiscal year, so sometime in May or June, something like that. Yeah.
End of my report.
That report. Planning and zoning, Mr. Johnson.
We sent out some code review letters, properties that are needed doing some cleanup mainly. Some not so bad, others worse. So,
18.
I signed all those today.
okay. I was gonna say if we probably heard anything back, but
Yeah, I signed them all personally. So.
okay. So we'll see what feedback
Wait
we
for my
get from
email to
people.
start blowing up.
What Roger and I did is we just drove the town, and anything that looked like, obvious
Yeah.
that there was an issue, we took down what the address, and then we came back and we put what code they violated, and we put together letters, and we said that because we're spending money from the business development district, we're going to spend about $100,000 a year to dress up businesses and homes. That it wouldn't be right if we didn't also go out and we said we're not sending anybody fines or anything. We're just making people aware, and hopefully we can work together. And
Some are pretty easy. Some are pretty just,
most of them are just cleaning up or moving
There's
cars.
a couple that are going to take an extensive amount of work to get cleaned up. That are, spilling out. So there's one other one we'll talk after the meeting.
Are they all occupied?
Yeah, one of them's owned by SEFCU, so it's been foreclosed on. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I think everything else there's a few rentals.
We sent it to SEFCU then, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be noise.
Guaranteed.
It's got my email and Tony's email on it, so we'll be the ones that get the noise. But we tried to be nice. We tried to be just like, we're just pointing it out. We're educating people so that we can all work together and make our community better, and we'll see what happens.
On the rentals, do you send it just to the people renting it or to the
We send it to the owner.
Yeah. You got 3 letters.
No, I don't think you got any. I don't think you got any. It's the usual suspects. The ones we get complaints on are it's always the same kind of groups of people.
End of report.
Sanitary sewer, Mr. Pearson.
Nothing to report.
Water, Mr. Pearson.
The only thing is really that they're going to try to do the leak detection this week, but it's going to rain all week, so hopefully next week. End of report.
Do you know how long that report takes to come back once they do it? By chance?
I don't-
What it was last time.
I think they'll have an idea like the day of,
Yeah.
but they won't have like the written.
Gotcha.
It was a couple weeks or something last time.
That's when we got the written report back, but if they knew there was a leak on this,
Right,
they
yeah.
let Jim and everybody know about it right away. So. The last time I
They
came.
might be really busy
Yeah.
digging holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
I remember, because did we get any out of the last one?
No, none.
Was there none?
He said
None.
0 leaks.
Yeah.
But we're financially losing 30%.
Yeah.
0 leaks. You got our money back from that one.
No, we
I
didn't.
don't have anything really in the ground.
Streets and alleys. And storm sewer.
Nothing is
The only thing I did,
proposed
All still there.
for the
the MFT is next week, I think. I think it's next Thursday that we open the bids. I think that's right. And they rented a sweeper for Monday and Tuesday of next week to go.
skid steer.
They're going to go around and sweep up all the excess gravel from.
Plowing.
Yeah.
I'll remember to shovel mine out there. Actually, they tell them if they want a place to dump it. If it's Big Rock, they can dump
They
it.
actually dump it on the public works.
Monday a great idea to
Reuse
do
it.
that?
Huh?
Monday a good time to do that
Because
with the garbage?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll be that early or not. I don't know what their plans were.
Just a lot of people put their garbage cans on the street too. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I know Tracy put out a communication this week. They were going to be doing that.
Anything else, right?
Nope, that's all I got.
CEDC, Mr. Sidak.
All right. Well, to date, we've got 5 residential applications for our new development program and 1 commercial, which is a step up from the 0 commercial we had last meeting. As was stated at last meeting, our next CEDC meeting will be on 4/11, which is the following Tuesday after the next board meeting, right here, 6 p.m. So CEDC is going to have their hands full looking through all these applications. That's pretty much all I've got. Oh, and also we're looking for at-large members still. So if you know anyone who is a resident and has a pulse, send them our way.
Well, that's not always good. Let me see.
You have to be a resident for a certain amount of time.
I don't think so.
I'd have to look at, we did pass a resolution, and I can't remember if we put in there a time requirement. I'd have to look on the website to see.
I'm trying to check on the next one for Peoria County, so give me 1 second here. We will go ahead and skip administration right now. We'll circle back to that. Other business, Comcast discussion, Brian?
Yeah, so Comcast reached out to me, and all I've got is this information. I'll pass it around, but they're interested in coming to town. I think they want to bring everything, their full suite of products. There would be a fiber and cable and everything. The downside is, Jim and Roger are like, we've already got 3 cables coming through town. Now this is a 4th one, and every time we dig, we got another issue or something we have to avoid. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. At the end of the day, the question is for you guys is whether or not you feel like the residents this is something that they would want. When I spoke to them, they were very clear that they do want to have a franchise agreement. So if you guys say tonight that we're interested or you're interested in having them come, then I'll work with Abby on trying to align our franchise agreement, which we signed with Mid-Century and Stratus, with what they have, and see if we can come to some common ground on.
Will you ever get someone to guarantee to cover all the houses in our town?
I asked him that question, and he sidestepped it. He just said he would guarantee that they would go to all the businesses initially. But he wouldn't guarantee that they'd go to every house. But Tony's working with Mid-Century now to see what it's going to take to get them to go to every house. He did say they would do the business district first and then expand from there. But he wouldn't go so far as to say that they would do every home. Now, the size of that company, I would assume if there's demand, they would do it.
Well, I don't think there will be. Is there going to be any more demand than Mid-Century was?
They tried a ton of stuff just to get people to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only difference is what kind of cable do you have in town? Do you have decent cable TV in town? Because Comcast would offer that, right?
Mid-Century. We're not Mid-Century, but Mediacom already has cable TV service in town.
So I don't know if Comcast is any better or worse than Mediacom. I don't know.
I have Mediacom, but not their cable.
And they're what?
I don't have their cable though. I just have their internet. Which
I
kind
don't
of
see a whole lot of posts on social media asking the cable companies to come through. I see that internet question once a month.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem is
Everybody streams now.
a
So
lot of people don't go out and sign up. They ask about it. Well, why aren't they here? Well, because people aren't signing up.
Yeah. A lot of the other towns they went to, if you follow their social media stuff, they got neighborhoods signed up and installed it. I think Farmington got every fiber hood built.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get every fiber hood built. A lot of them that happened several years ago, every single neighborhood filled up. For some reason, Hannah City's stuck at 1. The other ones just won't move the needle.
To me, one of the questions for Mediacom would be is what would it cost to do the rest of the build out,
Or at least put the backbone in.
from Mid-Century, you mean?
I'm sorry, yeah. And then do we make that do we see if we can find funding somewhere, or do we make that a BDD funded project? I don't know.
There's like
Sounds like it'd be a good use of BDD.
Yeah.
It's like that fiber internet is a game changer.
It is.
I don't know. I even know how much MediaCom cable costs.
They were giving good,
Mid-Century.
good deals to sign
No,
up.
MediaCom.
It was over $80 a month for 1 gigabyte.
For cable, I mean.
No, for MediaCom cable.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the question. If we can get the fiber, you don't need Comcast's internet. We don't need them for that. So it's whether or not the cable would be cheaper or better, really.
It's not.
Comcast is probably.
It's not, 'cause Comcast is expensive as heck.
Fiber, but it's,
They would.
yeah.
But again, they would not guarantee they go to every house.
There's
I
one
think
fiber
they got-
right along with the existing fiber.
You know,
And that's
I mean, we've
why
already got Stratus running through here. We've already got Mid-Century running through here. We'd be adding a third fiber.
if they could just run the,
Where's Stratus at?
They just went down 116, and the only two people they've connected is the bank, and they asked to do the bank, and then American Pest Control.
How
And
much was that?
they're doing that right now.
American Pest Control.
But they came. What's on Con Road? They only came down here for one customer.
oh, to go to a cell tower.
Yeah, so that's why they came. That's why they came, and then
Okay.
the bank that was, I guess, willing to pay enough, and American Pest Control was willing to pay enough, so they just moved into there.
But they haven't really done a push for neighborhoods.
No, they're more commercial.
Now they've come and we've had conversations, but they're the ones that we've had all the problems with over in the corner of 116 in Hannah City, Glassford. So I told them that they weren't the highest priority for me anyway.
I'm not a fan of Comcast. I mean, I like their stuff, but.
Well, it
Are they
sounds to
ready
me
to
like
make
if Mid-Century would build out, that'd be our first option, right?
If we could just, like I said, if we could just get the backbone run, so they run a line down, let's say, they run one down Taylor Road, where if anybody on Taylor Road wants to hook up to it, then they could. Same way with the other fiber hoods, if they just run the alley, or,
We could pay for it, you're saying.
well, we would have to look to see what cost would
The
be.
homeowner, I mean, not the village.
No, we would see what it would cost to just run backbone.
Yeah.
See how much Mid-Century, see what that cost would be, if the village were to offer to, make some of that payment, that investment in our community using our BDD dollars. If we did something like that, then that would then give our residents the opportunity that are in those fiber hoods that don't have enough people where they could go and connect.
Mid-Century's fairly local, aren't they?
Yes.
They're really local. Yeah.
I'm more inclined to try and help out Mid-Century.
I'm missed.
Well, they're already here, so if we can come to some agreement on the cost to finish the backbone or whatever, maybe we can help with that or find funding for that. I think that's step one. And then what I tell Comcast, I'll go back and ask the question again. If you guarantee every house, then we might be willing to.
If they put the backbone in, they'd surely get more people to sign up if it was more like it's going to be installed now. I still don't think people understood the fact about you have to sign up
It was a little
now
confused.
to get it. I think like, well, I'll sign up when they run the line. They're not going to run the line unless you sign up. I still don't think that was
No, that's not very clear.
pushed.
Yeah.
I still don't think that was pushed hard
And I
enough.
think this would be confusing if we said, "There's another one coming through. You want to sign up for this one?"
But I bet if the wire's in the ground in front of their house, it's like, yeah, just call for an installation. They'll get that number up to where they need it at.
Right.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, and then also, there are, also programs out there available for residential customers. If anybody's on any type of government assistance, SNAP, WIC, anything like that, a military pension, a disability, anything like that, you can actually apply for this grant, and they'll take $30 off your internet bill. It's a federally funded program. You have to apply through the federal program. Then once you are approved, then they give you a little code number and everything. You go to your provider and say, hey, here's my code for this program. They confirm it, and then they take $30 off your bill every month. So back to administration. Is there any further discussion on Comcast?
Mid-Century.
We'll wait and find out. And I'll wait to hear back from Aaron from Mid-Century. I'll make sure I email him again. right before we leave. Calls for service, March 5th, 2023 through March 11th, we had 8 calls, mostly medical. Then March 12th through March 18th, we had 9.
Our buddy was in the paper again. He got arrested again.
Which was mostly medical. A couple business checks, serve papers. Reckless driver, disorderly conduct. So that's it for administration. Abby, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Our clerk is currently not here. We're going to have an administrative session, or we're it's going to be asked to go into an executive session.
Mhm.
Cassandra is taking notes. Do we have to have someone else take notes for the executive session since it's going to be recorded also?
That's a lovely question.
Yeah, we have to have minutes for the executive
Yeah,
session.
you do. Let me look. Let me look through my notes.
I guess somebody else in the meeting's got to take the notes.
That's my first instinct is that someone else in the meeting will have to take the notes. However, I'm gonna keep reading to see if I see something else.
We always did that at the high school. If we asked our secretary to leave, we'd have to have a board member do it.
You good taking notes?
Me? Oh, I'm wonderful.
Jeff just
I don't know
volunteered.
if you can read them afterwards.
That's my problem.
We can make it happen. Yeah, I can do it.
Well, the other thing is it'll be recorded, so Denise could always take the minutes from the recording.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
She could transcribe it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's gotta be separate recording.
Yeah, we always do a separate.
yeah.
First, you'd have to figure out how to work YouTube.
You could show her.
Yeah.
So
Well, no,
far,
it
I'm
won't be
not
on- it
seeing
won't
a
be on YouTube.
restriction. So
Closed minute.
As long as we have them recorded, then
she could take notes later, or someone could take notes during.
okay. So item B under other business is executive session regarding appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees. 5 ILC.
Hold on, we had that wrong. It's 5 ILCS 120/2 C1.
Okay.
Abby corrected her boss.
120/2.
Parentheses with a C in it, parentheses with a 1.
Subsection C, subsection. So I would entertain a motion to go into.
So moved.
I have a motion by Jeff Raleigh, second by Johnson,
You do need a roll call.
and I'll roll call that. Pearson,
Yes.
Charavalli,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carries, and the time is 18:34. I gotta say goodbye to Dan. Danny, we'll have to let you go at this time. We're going into an executive session, sir. Yes, I have.
Have a good night, everybody.